brain is the infinite self experiencing itself without limitation. If you feel your heart, you'll remember this.
When you understand that you are energy and your world is that, you will start to use it in a more effective way, meaning that you will use it to move through your past limitations and restrictions. This is a generational shift, by the way. That's why you've never experienced it. That's why it's heavy. That's why it's complex. And that's why it's chaotic.
This is why the present moment is so sacred to us, and also why you will always find us in the present moment, where past, present, and future collapse into this frequency of infinite possibility.
But you would have been aware of the big stretch around about 2011, 2012, the portals opening, the expansion, 2019, another big one. On a conscious human level, 2020, with all of the pandemic, huge shifts and changes.
But there was a shift where it's like, we've hit the peak. We can change. We can start going downhill. Oh, look, the rock is going faster and faster and faster. And this is great. We are finally making progress.
Now, the beautiful part of the higher self is it's standing within you and above you. So you'll feel your spiritual heart open, and you'll also feel your brain open. You'll feel more electrical energy building in your brain area, and you'll feel the top of your brain, the crown area, expanding as well. And for those of you who have increased sensitivity of non-physical experiences, you will feel energy vibrating at different locations above the top of your head. The more awakened you are, the larger your aura grows, and then you start to integrate the higher chakras above your head, and you'll actually feel them getting active when they are communicating. So the higher self is truly located in the higher half of your human body. The lower self, that's what we call your human memory-based understanding. So the automatic thoughts and the automatic emotional reactions, they appear because of the memories stored in the lower 4 chakras from your heart down. Now also, of course, your brain and your throat, they're in the human body as well, so they're subject to human memory. But really the memories themselves are stored in the lower 4 chakras. And so when you feel energy moving in your belly or your abdomen or even your chest area, and it has a feeling of discomfort or even human excitement, it's going to nearly always be coming from your memory-based understanding. So the lower self begins its feeling in the torso of the body. The higher self is felt above the top of the head. The equality of energy of the higher self is peace and love and bliss, and the lower self communicates in the wide range of human emotions. Now, the last thing to say is we're not supposed to deny the lower chakras. Some spiritual teachings and teachers have said, just ignore the lower chakras. They're only meant to cause you trouble. We say, no, that's not correct. If you're ignoring part of yourself, it means you're dividing yourself off from your full potential. In order to create the greatest experience, you have to embrace your experience. And this includes all of the past experiences that have come with you on this journey. The more you awaken into your higher self state, you learn to embody these higher qualities of love and actually let your higher mind be felt in these lower centers of energy. Let the higher self and your spiritual heart fill your torso. Feel it working itself inside your chakras and inside your organs. You'll notice that it's easy to forgive past experiences. You'll notice that you have less random emotions and thoughts appearing from your past. So by allowing your higher self qualities of energy and information into your human psyche and into your chakra container, into this body-based personality, you will notice a transformation. And the memories of the past and the old ideas will become less and less, and you'll be influenced more fully by your eternal understanding. This is the process of psychological evolution for every human being. We wake up in this world as young infants. We need not know where we are. We have nothing supporting us. We are quite like babes in the woods, and we just start absorbing from the environment around us. We know nothing, and we start absorbing everything that we're perceiving, and it builds the understanding of who I am, what the world is, and what the relationship between myself and the world is. And then deal one, as the energy system builds, as the brain develops, then eventually we have self-recognition. We start to identify, I'm different from my environment. This happens in children around the ages of 5, 6, 7, or 8. Now we can think for ourselves. We can identify ourselves in our surroundings. That's the next level of brain-based spiritual awakening. Around the age of a teenager, and sometimes it doesn't awaken at all, even in adults, we start to awaken this understanding that I'm completely independent from my body and my personality. So as a young child, we become the body independent from the world. As an infant, the body and the world are one. We awaken to our spiritual self often in our teenage years, and we start to realize I'm consciousness, and I have a body, and there's also a world. So during this process of awakening, we want to reach into higher states. We realize the human body has its own memory, and this is affecting the human worldly experience. So we can evolve our human personality. We can change the memory-based understanding that's stored in the human body. In order to take your consciousness out of body, you don't really need to work on your human psyche at all. The only real challenge is just trust and fear. You can be a greedy person, a selfish person. You can still have out-of-body experiences. But the energy of your understanding, that's going to limit how far you can travel in an out-of-body experience. So if you want to get to your higher self state or these greater states of your soul that exist in dimensions of love and peace and oneness, you're going to have to work on your personal understanding. And that work is done by healing your body and building healthy relationships with your friends and family and even the strangers in your world. Your physical body is storing your creative understanding, so naturally you'll evolve what's in you. We know you gave you a lot of information. We hope that was understandable.
Very much so. And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Just love life. That's all you're here to do. You deal ones are eternal. Now we realize you're remembering this. You forgot it when you were born and you're awakening to remember it. But in every moment, dear one, you are here simply to shine your heart. You are God. You are God for eternity. And everything that you perceive is God as well. Everything is the infinite self experiencing itself without limitation. If you feel your heart, you'll remember this. And if you express while feeling your heart, your words and your actions and your emotions will have a different quality. You truly are here to love your life. Don't try to escape it by trying to find God in some other dimension. There are other dimensions, and many of them have more happiness than here, but you've chosen to become here. This human reality is what you've decided to give to yourself. So embrace it. Embrace it with your heart. And when you're in your heart's energy, beautiful things happen. Your mind immediately starts building a new understanding. When you're feeling love, you'll think about all the grudges you want to let go of and all the people you want to forgive. And you'll start thinking about all the changes you want to put into your life to make your human life a better experience. Just by being in your heart and awakening this energy of love, all of this creative power shines through you. And your human self becomes inspired to create the life that you've always wanted to live. So feel your heart and love your life and be not afraid. Souls in this world, they're learning how to awaken. We all are on the same ship together. And we will be of great service to ourselves and each other by trusting our hearts and living with love. Everyone has their own journey. We need not control each other's. We simply express from our heart to support and love each other while honoring the freedom we all have in this world that we all share to create. There will always be challenges in this human world. That's okay. Just be your best self. Just love this world as best you can. And we promise you, everything will continue to improve.
It's happening so you can come together. It's happening so that you can start to love yourself. It's an internal process that you each move through in your evolutionary path to bring your light and your love to the world now, to make this shift that you all want to move through. Now, we know it's challenging and difficult because none of you like to change, and that's what you have. So if you put billions of people together who don't want to change, then you have chaos. But we told you also back in 2012 that it also brings unity. You move through your world, your universe, at specific times, and it's all connected to everything that has existed. It's all connected to the galaxies, to the stars, because everything is energy. When you understand that you are energy and your world is that, you will start to use it in a more effective way, meaning that you will use it to move through your past limitations and restrictions. This is a generational shift, by the way. That's why you've never experienced it. That's why it's heavy. That's why it's complex. And that's why it's chaotic. However, you decided to be alive in this carnation for the purpose of making a better world. And you make that better world by you becoming better within yourself, honoring who you are. Now, we know that many of you have gone through all kinds of challenges, difficulties, and you thought that you were being punished for some reason. That's never true. You are learning. You are gathering information. You are gathering wisdom so that you could bring it to your world now. There's nothing more important than you loving yourself. There's nothing more important than you becoming successful, prosperous, because when you do that, you will shift your world and you will take care of those that you've been ignoring. Half of your world you've been ignoring half of the world, and you've let people die and starve. There's abundance in your universe, and you're shifting that now. That is why you're having this period. We've told you that you are moving through a restructuring, but the purpose is so that you can restructure yourself and that all of you will become the beings that you are meant. Now, one other thing, as we're here with Alex, we want to say this because he has done so much and he is not appreciated on the deepest level. But the fact that he followed this movement that he didn't even understand why he was doing it, and he did it at exactly the right time, because it was an energetic movement in your world that he was attuned to, not knowingly, of course, but he was attuned to it. And as he did that, now he's helped many more than he could even imagine. And he did something else. When he decided to do his raising money to feed people, my word, the example that he has set for all of you has been tremendous. And we hope that you appreciate it, because now you have this opportunity to move in, because you've made another shift and you'll make another one. We love that we're doing this coming into your full moon because it's very powerful. And as more of you decide to own who you are, love yourselves, you're going to see a very different world. We know it's going to take a little while, but if you start now, it will be beautiful. Now, you will create the world that you want to see if you create the world within yourself that you want to have. We love you all so very much.
That was beautiful.
I will hear it later.
Does Wilhelm answer questions?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for that, first of all, thank you so much. Well, I'll talk to Wilhelm about it. It was How do collectives like you, Wilhelm, choose the channels that are going to go through you, or use that channel that you are? How did you pick Roger? Is basically my question.
Because you each have connections. Your universe, your eternal spiritual beings, but you come in and you have different incarnations, and that incarnation, whichever you choose, you will have connections to those who have come before. You have consciousness that exists forever. Now, what we gave Roger, we've talked to him. He didn't understand why he picked the name Wilhelm, for instance. And then we showed him the connections. And we took him back to Friedrich Nietzsche, whose middle name was Wilhelm. But then we took him to Goethe, who wrote Wilhelm Meister. This was about the search for self-actualization, which is what you're all doing. So his thread followed all of these beings that came before, but we also threw in others like Alfred Adler, because many of you think that you're insignificant and you're inferior, and that's one of the biggest problems in your world, and its biggest problem in many of your lives. So that is why we chose Roger, and he was willing. He had an incarnation that's his ancient. He was willing to go through all the struggles, all the problems, all the difficulties, heal himself, and then come to be the demonstration. He's perfectly fine with the fact that he sacrificed the first part of his life, because now he can make a greater difference.
You, Wilhelm, what can we do to let go more in life and surrender to the spiritual path, or to the path that is guiding us?
Understanding. First, to understand that you're eternal beings and you're connected, and all the connections, and we want to talk about the generational thing. If you start to understand that you are connected to all those beings in your lineage who have come before, but they also had limitations. You exist now to move through the limitations that your ancestors, your parents, and all those had to create a better world. And if you examine your world now, you can see that it's vastly different than it was 500 years ago. And the way that that happened is that beings came in and decided that they were going to create something new. Now you are creating something huge now that none of you have done, which is why it seems so chaotic. However, you should congratulate yourself that you're here. But we know that it's challenging. Many of you have been beating up on yourselves and thinking you're being punished. No, you're moving through. You agreed to move through certain things in your life, and you took them from all those who came before so that you can make a better world. Now, we want to say this. Not everyone will do that, and you know it. You know that everyone is not going to understand what you're doing, what you're feeling, and this whole thing that we call your spiritual self. And most people won't accept that. That's why you have to shine more during this time. And each of you who would be listening to us, no one would hear us accidentally. You just decide when you're going to hear, you pay attention. You're just going to decide when you accept yourself. When you accept yourself, you have a much different life and a glorious life, and you'll add that light and energy to the world. Everyone has it. There's no one separate. You just decide how much you will allow yourself to believe.
How do we handle feelings of spiritual doubt or uncertainty in our life?
You're never going to get rid of it. we wish we could give you another answer, but you have doubt all the time because you're eternal beings. And so the doubt means that there's more to you. That's all. You have another level of existence that you could ascend to, which is what's happening in your world. Now you're having a planetary ascension, but within each person, you have different levels of understanding consciousness that you continually ascend to. And then you see everything differently, what many of you call the fifth dimension, which we know we love using the age of Aquarius because you all are moving into that, and you can understand that concept a bit more, where you come together, where you love one another. You thought it was happening decades ago, but no, it's happening now, and it's just happening recently. And so every person can do this when they decide to love who they are.
How do we silence the negative voice in our head?
You won't. It's going to always be there because, again, the negative voice is what you want to find. You want to see it. We give you so many processes, let's say, so to speak, to reprogram your negative voices, but you can't reprogram them until you hear them, and you hear them because they're old. They're part of the old you, the old paradigm, all of that. So you must hear them first before you can start to change them. And you change them by changing your mind, which is an up-leveling of your consciousness. And so you don't try to think that many of you think that you'll just sit in some place and everything will be fine if you just ignore everything. That never happens, and you never get to where you want to be. Each of you are here now to create this better world through your better life. And so you can only do that when you start to notice when you're judging yourself, because you're judging everyone else when you're judging yourself. And the first thing that we gave you is to please let go of your self-judgment.
Now, a question I get asked all the time is, if we choose to come into this incarnation with certain blueprints or goals and things that we have to do in our life to learn and grow, how can we still have free will?
You have free will all the time because you can choose to create a horrible life. See, because if you don't follow that instinctual thing that's within you, that innate feeling that you have, then you have struggles. And Roger had a zillion of them. We worked with him for so long to try to get him to move. He says, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to tell people. And so then he had every physical illness and accident and failure and all those because he wouldn't accept himself. But then he becomes a great example for you all. You see, so just understand that you're always in the process of evolving and progressing to new levels of understanding within yourself. So, but you can't, the duality that you have is thinking that you should not have certain lower vibrational energies or feelings or moving through you. You have to, because that's the only way you up level, you see, because we can give you certain examples and you can do it throughout your history. And we took Roger to study so much ancient history, actually, so he could stimulate his memory. But when you go look at your old worlds, they're very different than where you are now. So over time, you have evolutions of consciousness. You're all equal beings, but you can see that through your races, your genders and all of that, you have an honor in all of that. And so this is the time where you start to shift that to come back to oneness. You're always attempting in every civilization, you're attempting to come back to this state of oneness, meaning that you know you're each connected to God and you came in with particles that you're supposed to activate. And the more of you who come together, you create a very different world. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you're in process.
How do we approach forgiveness when someone has wronged us deeply?
To understand that you were hurt in some way and they helped you. They helped you to feel that insignificance, because otherwise you nothing. We've given you so many things about criticism too, because this is the same kind of thing, because you feel hurt because you're a little unstable about who you are. You haven't fulfilled that empowered part of yourselves yet. And so you have people who come into your experience to cause you to feel those things so that you become stronger in terms of owning who you are. And we've said to you many times that when you receive criticism, embrace it. Because see, what happens is you will feel it, and if it feels uncomfortable at first, that means there's an unhealed part of you that you wanted to see. So the criticism helps you see. But then if you see the criticism coming in some way and it has no relevance to who you are, and you know that it's just the other person's idea and their issue, now you've become even stronger because you get to trust yourself a lot more.
The perception of being in between lives is coming from the limited awareness that your species has at this time. There is no such thing as being in between lives, as they are all happening now. What happens is you shift into a higher dimensional consciousness wherein you can perceive all of your incarnations simultaneously, and the time does not exist. It is a state of consciousness that you assume.
Is the concept of fate or destiny real, or do we have complete free will to shape our lives?
For the human, this is quite challenging to understand. Am I creating my reality, or was there a soul plan? Was there an agreement? And what we would like to say is that both things can be true simultaneously. This is what we call a dichotomy. Two things can be true at the same time. And so from the highest vantage point of, we'll call your highest self, your higher self, you are always running the show as a soul. You are always creating. However, in the incarnational experience, there are options and choices, which would be the free will. And so you are always in a state of co-creation with your higher self and with us, determining which timeline possibilities are of the highest excitement to experience.
Why did God or source energy choose to create the universe, and what principles guided its design decisions?
Many humans may be underwhelmed by our answer, but the truth is that we were bored and we had nothing else to do. And you also have nothing else to do, which is why we have shared with you today that creation is your ultimate purpose, to create out of your own infinite energy and consciousness. You see, we were floating, we were in one place, so to speak, because we were everywhere simultaneously. And we grew to be quite bored. And we said, well, we are, but we would like to know the depths of what that could be, what that could look like, what those experiences could entail. You see, it's not enough for us to simply know that we exist. We want to experience our existence in every which way possible.
So is every living thing on this planet an expression of source energy in its goal to experience and explore itself?
You stated that perfectly. Yes, we are experiencing ourselves infinitely on every dimension and every timeline.
Can you explain the nature of time and space and how they interact with one another?
When we created the physical and non-physical aspects of the multiverse, we recognize that time could serve as a tool to have certain lessons and experiences that would otherwise be unavailable. We exist in timelessness because our consciousness is everywhere simultaneously. We are aware of ourselves as being everywhere simultaneously, whereas the human is focalized, centralized in one particular timeline, reality, or expression of energy. And that is why the human experiences linear time. And time is simply a measure of distance, the time that it takes to get from point A to point B. However, if you are at point A and point B simultaneously, then that time does not exist. So time is a tool. It is something to appreciate. It is something that gives the soul an opportunity to slow reality down and really savor the details of what is available in a particular dimension.
You've spoken about multidimensional realities. How can we access or perceive them?
Everything is happening now. This is why the present moment is so sacred to us, and also why you will always find us in the present moment, where past, present, and future collapse into this frequency of infinite possibility. When you are wanting to consciously shift through time or tap into parallel versions of yourself and potentiality, you must first access the present moment, where you are no longer fixated or attached to whatever has already occurred or has been created by you. You simply understand that it has been created out of a certain level of consciousness and energy. But when you pull yourself into the present moment, you empower yourself to shift. So it's a matter of accessing the present moment and recognizing that the present is a portal into infinity.
Do we co-create our own reality? And if we do, why would we create negative or struggle in our lives?
What the human perceives to be negative or struggle, we perceive to be a catalyst for soul growth and expansion. When you are judging an experience as bad, labeling it as bad, you will experience it as bad and thus create that suffering for yourself, which is why neutralizing your attention and emotional attachment to what is happening will ultimately set you free. Now, most humans are turned off by this term neutralization because it feels like it's void of emotion or love, and that is not true. This neutrality is actually unconditional love, because you are loving every aspect of yourself, loving every aspect of what occurs in your experience. And in the loving of it, the neutrality of it, it will actually transmute and transform into a higher reality that you are then experiencing. So you get to experience anything that occurs in your reality in the way that you wish, simply through shifting into a frequency of love, of acceptance, of appreciation for that which is occurring. And within that perception, suffering cannot exist.
That was beautiful. How can we as humans reach our full potential spiritually?
Potential is infinite. And once you accept that there is no such thing as reaching your full potential, because the nature of the multiverse that we have birthed is to always be in continual expansion. When you accept that you will always be a being who expands, you do not judge where you are. You simply accept it. And in that acceptance, you match the vibrational frequency that will catapult you into a higher dimensional version of who you are.
So in other words, there is no top of the mountain. It is infinite.
That is correct. And so if you are no longer striving and struggling to get to the top of the mountain, you are at peace in your present, And because you are in this frequency of well-being, you are a magnet for more well-being to be reflected back to you. So you will always be experiencing the highest possible version of reality that is available to you, given the soul agreements that are in place.
This will continue throughout 75, 80 years, but the next 10 years is this big stretch, this big growth. It began, it's been beginning for a long time, but you would have been aware of the big stretch around about 2011, 2012, the portals opening, the expansion, 2019, another big one. On a conscious human level, 2020, with all of the pandemic, huge shifts and changes, but the awareness was already in place to open up those changes, which you then took the ball and run with as a peoples, although you did it without conscious awareness and reluctantly, but you did it indeed. And so now you take that forward. Does this make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Thank you, Eli. What insights can you provide about the nature of reality and our existence?
The nature of reality and what is reality. There are so many different levels of reality and consciousness and dimensions across multi-dimensions, multiverses. So when you say what is real, what is reality, it will depend on where you are standing within your dimensional awareness. We are aware that you and this one loves the Matrix and these different reality dimensions and other many wondrous movies and programs that delve into different dimensions. Suffice to say, just allow your mind to open to multi-realities, of which you travel transverse between realities during your awake time, meditation times, sleep times, and even within your human consciousness, you can move between different realities emotionally. Okay, I did not know that. Within, for example, let us say within the space of 1 hour, in a particularly volatile emotional state, you may move between many different emotions such as anger and despair and upset and sadness and grief. And each of these takes you to a different reality. When we see things from a different perspective, through different eyes, through different emotions, through different viewpoints, we are seeing different realities. When you step into another's shoes, as many of you do, which is beautiful and compassionate, when we would encourage you to see into why is somebody behaving in such a way, and you try to put yourself in their shoes, you are seeing through their eyes and their reality. When you read books of a different reality, of somebody's experience within their experiences and realities, all the while you are expanding your own awareness of these multiple realities, of which you are living simultaneously. You may well have heard that there is no time, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future, there is all now, and everything is within the now. Within that now, there are multiple realities, multiple dimensions, multiple levels, all simultaneously happening, coexisting in the one reality within different dimensions. It is complex, and many of you, including this one, find it difficult to comprehend, but this awareness will become more normalized and easier to understand as your consciousness expands, and also as evidence which is already present, but there will be more so until it can no longer be squashed and suppressed, but evidence of such as I, such as Eli, that we are amongst you, that we visit and have visited for a long time, as this evidence becomes more and more, then it is like an awakening, an unlocking of a portal within the mind to be able to comprehend and understand these different realities. We know it is difficult to comprehend because your existence so far as humans is this reality, which is linear, this 3D reality, which is all there is. It's very difficult for you to see the multi-dimensions and multi-realities, but you are beginning to open to it. And the more you do, the more you will see.
Is it then, you said that based on I love that analogy there of when you were angry and sad and despair and all of that, that every time you jump on emotion, you're jumping to a new reality. Is reality based on the perceiver and not an actual existence of a reality? In other words, where we're in is a conscious agreement among all humans that this is the world that we live in. But what you just said is the perception will change. Is it the perception that changes? Is it the perceiver?
It is a beautiful question indeed. It is within the perceiver. You see, when we teach of you are creator and all is created from your place of co-creating, you indeed co-create with others and the universe, but you are creating your own reality. You are not creating the reality of another. So whilst what you do can impact on the reality of another, that is their choice, whether they choose to respond, react, or ignore. If they choose to ignore, it has not impacted on their reality. You are responsible for your reality only. However, the impact can have a ripple effect on others should they choose to align with it. If we were to try to explain that there is there is only you and a reflection of multi-dimensional versions of you. How to make this understandable for you. Everything is a mirror, like in the those fairgrounds with the many mirrors, and you go into the room and you see many mirrors and it looks like there are many people in there, but there is only you. There is a strange reality that is warped with all of these mirrors. This is as much as we could liken your reality to. Where do you put the mirrors? How do you view the mirrors? If you see the mirrors at a 90-degree angle, you see this view. If you move the mirror to a 45-degree angle, you see a different view. If you rise up and looking down on it, you see a different view. But you are responsible for the mirrors, how many, where they're placed, how they are, because you are the architect of your reality. This is hard, we know.
No, it is. It's fascinating because now we're talking about, I love this again, this metaphor of the person in the Hall of Mirrors, which is what it's called in a fairgrounds or a carnival.
Thank you.
There is only one of you, but there is hundreds of reflections of you. So are you saying that our perception is the perceiver, which is the person in the Hall of Mirrors, and all the perceptions or realities are the reflections in the Hall of Mirrors? Does that make sense?
Indeed. You see, in each and the many incarnations that you have had in different dimensions, different realms, and different experiences, some of which are happening simultaneously. In this moment, you may be living a dozen different lifetimes at the same time, in different realms, in different realities, but they are all you. And at some junction and juncture, correct both words, yes, then you can meet the knowledge of these other yous. and you may not meet the other yous. You may do sometimes go into a dream and think, I met this person, I really knew them, and oh, it was me in another lifetime. A little like your film, Parallel Doors. Yes, different realities. This is so different realities, different outcomes, different realities. So they are happening simultaneously, and you can step into the knowledge of them. So because you can access the knowledge, then where is the reality? If it was not me who experienced that thing that gave the knowledge, how can I take the knowledge from it? And so it becomes this framework that you put the box around of what I can and cannot accept to be truth. When we would say that this is normal and all right, but the more you can bring the walls of the boxes down, the more you see the multifaceted hall of mirrors that we describe, that each of these reflections is a different aspect of you, all of which you are creating in the now. And all of which is to help you know who you are, that you are source personified, you are creator, you are having a wondrous experience, you are having a joyous or a painful experience, because indeed you choose both, because they help you to know who you are. And so you can tap into each of these. So to answer the question, what is real? We would simply say, what do you choose to be real?
Historically speaking, on this planet, it felt like trying to push a rock up a mountain. Things were very slow. Things were very hard. Things were very challenging. Not much changed. Not much changed. But there was a shift where it's like, we've hit the peak. We can change. We can start going downhill. Oh, look, the rock is going faster and faster and faster. And this is great. We are finally making progress. And that's the key. This planet is ready for progress. And so all of the souls coming to this planet are here to contribute to this progress and are here to contribute to the changing nature of this planet. It is a time of rapid acceleration and rapid growth. And there are certain things you can only learn, going back to that oversoul experiential thing, there are certain things you can only really truly experience when things are going fast. You know, if you are a farmer working the same fields where you don't meet a lot of people and not much changes over the course of 50 years, there isn't a lot of growth happening. There isn't a lot of inner change. There isn't a lot of things that challenge our perceptions and challenge our belief systems and challenge us to grow. But right now, as we said, that boulder is rolling down the mountain and things are getting faster. It's moving faster. We're having to, almost some of us are having to run to keep up with it. Like, wait for me, I can't keep up, because the momentum is building. Things are speeding up. And that boulder, by the way, has not reached the bottom yet. It's nowhere near the bottom, meaning where we are now here in 2023, it is only going to get faster. The more and more things change, the more things are going to change. Things are going to continue to accelerate. But this is a good thing, because sometimes when things go fast, we can do so much more. With the energy and the momentum, we can do more, we can shift more, we can change more, and we can do it fast. So it doesn't have to be years of struggle and years of strife and years of pain and years of not much moving. And we feel that things are more and more and more going to be revealed, going to be changed, going to be upgraded, updated. And yeah, there's still going to be problems on this planet. Yeah, there's still going to be issues, let's just use the whole boulder going down the mountain analogy. There's going to be little rocks and juts sticking out and things that are going to kind of try to trip up the boulder and kind of make the boulder go, ouch, there was a big sharp thing there. Oh, ouch, that hurt. We need to deal with that. There's still going to be problems. There's still going to be challenges. And it's not just going to be smooth sailing down the mountain, because it's not. It's going faster. It's not a smooth path. It's a jagged, rough path. There are sharp bits. But as we get faster, we are able to move through it faster. And there's a lot more support growing by the day, because part of the going faster, it was fueled by things like, for example, the internet, where there is a lot more connection, worldwide connection, global connection, collective connection, where you're having more and more souls going, that's not okay, that needs to change. And as a result, the energy behind things, the culture around things is changing. And in some cases, it's changing a little slower. And in some cases, it's changing very, very fast, to the point that older generations are going, I just can't keep up with it anymore. It's just moving too fast, even for me. Does this make sense?
It makes perfect sense. This makes perfect sense. Thank you. And my final question is, do you have any last words for my audience?
We would like to share a piece of advice. And we're going to quote the words of Gandhi, we believe the name is, be the change. And we want to explain more, be the change, because we feel this is a very key thing. Now, being the change isn't just like, oh yeah, I'm different. No, being the change isn't just acknowledging you're different. Being the change means making a conscious decision to change, to do things better. For example, maybe you're having a difficult relationship with someone and they trigger you a lot, and you're upset, like, this person, they just make me so upset, and you're off venting to your friend about how difficult this person is. Be the change. Go look at why that person triggers you. Go look at why this situation upsets you. Ask the big questions. Why am I getting upset? Why am I reacting this way? Don't look at them. They are just a mirror to something deeper in yourself. And go, okay, why am I reacting this way? Why am I doing this? How can I change so that I don't keep reacting? Okay, I'm working through this. I'm understanding there's some, maybe this is how I've learned, or maybe this is what I was taught to do, or whatever. The more we go in and ask those introspective questions around, how can we shift this situation? How can we heal from this? How can we change? We change. And the more we change, the more we are on a greater scale, shall we say, activating the energy of change. Because the more of us that change, the more that ball is building up the momentum, like this is changing, that's changing, we have more space to move. And the other thing, the reason why our advice is to be the change, is because the more you take responsibility for your own stuff and choose to change, you have the capacity to become more, right? We say it like this: when you shift those triggers and come to a peaceful place, you are in a better place and space to be able to explore more, explore your passion, open to more things, become more of who you are, develop yourself, become a better version of yourself. Because the more you become a better version of yourself, the more you can inspire others, the more you can support others, the more you can connect with others in a way that perhaps you could not before. But the more we all change for the greater good, that is, for the greater good, the better this planet is going to become, the faster this planet is going to change in a way that it actually gets better and better and better. But it all starts with us.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.